Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another film review. Tonight we're looking at one of my favourite, but what I don't really talk about so much, subgenres in the horror films, and that is the Japanese monster flicks. There's been a number. There's been Gomorrah, which is okay, probably my least favourite out of them. There's another set of films called Jumanji, which I absolutely love, but my favourite has to be the classic Godzilla. I love Godzilla movies, and they date right back to 1950s, right through to now. They're still making them, and even the Americans have made a few Godzilla films, and we're looking at one of them tonight. We're looking at I believe it's 2014 version of Godzilla where this came out. This was like they did reboot it before, with Matthew Roderick, I think, playing with the main character in probably the late 90s or the early 2000s, and that was really cool. I enjoyed that too. But this one, it's a corker. It's a really cool film. It's a very slow sort of burn film though. It does take its time to get to the main part of the story. The story is sort of based in Japan, and we join a family, like our main character. He's like a scientist, and his wife is also a scientist, and their young boy. And he works in they both of the parents work in like a nuclear plant in Japan. And they've been having tremors and sort of earthquake tremors in the Philippines area, not far from Japan. And there's been some sort of investigations going around there, and they've found like a whole area has collapsed, and inside they found like this cave area where there's like this old sort of almost like prehistoric fossils, and they're sort of exploring them. And the picture quality is absolutely fantastic on this 4K, absolutely amazing. And they're investigating these sort of fossils, or are they? Or are they fossils? But anyway, and then we cut to Japan, where the tremors are starting to be felt there. And obviously it's a bit of a concern, because the part of the area where they're sort of feeling it is where they got the nuclear plant. So the husband and the wife of the family are sort of like heading out to work. It's the father's birthday. The son's a bit gutted because he's made a sign for him, but he hasn't had time to look at it because he's had all these calls about this sort of like tremor sort of vibrations they've been feeling underneath like the ground. So they head off to work, and he sends his wife down to the part of the plant where all the sort of nuclear sort of gases and that are kept. So she goes down there and works there, and he goes back to sort of like the main area where they got all the sort of readings and all the kind of data that they required to keep the nuclear factory safe and things like that. And then suddenly they start to feel tremors on the grounds. So he quickly radios his wife and tells her that they need to get out there where they are, because there's tremors. And then the tremors come really sort of strong and powerful, and the whole building sort of shakes. So he then sort of like starts panicking and starts telling her to run to get out of the area that she's in. And sure enough, one of the canisters, or the nuclear canisters, sort of like leaks, and we get like this sort of nuclear sort of gas smoke visible. And then we see all the workers, including his wife, running towards trying to reach the exit of this area. Now obviously they've got to shut this down, this area. The husband says, no, wait, I'm going to go down there myself and try and be there to help them get out. So he goes down to the area where they are running from, and he stands by the door hoping that his wife is going to arrive and they can sort of get them all out before they shut the door. But as always in these sort of films, they trip over. One of the guys trips over, and the wife trips over the guy. So, and then they sort of get caught up in the smoke. And then we see our main character standing by the door, and we then see the smoke coming towards the door, and he has to shut the door. He has to shut the door, locking his wife and the other work colleagues in there, sort of like, you know, putting them to their death really. But he's got no choice, because if this radiation leaks over the city, the whole the whole city is doomed, you know, for nuclear sort of be another sort of a Chernobyl kind of disaster. And so he has to lock it up. And then it's absolutely devastated. He's absolutely devastated about it. But then cut to 15 years later, and the young lad of the family's now grown up. And he's like, I think he works for the US Army or whatever he's in. And we see him in San Francisco. He's arriving back from an operation, and he's arriving back he's got his own little family. He's got his own wife and his own little lad who's about 5. And it so happens to be his birthday. And so they're all having cake and that, and they're all saying how glad that he's back and how much they missed him. And then he gets a phone call from Japan. And they're saying that his father's been arrested for entering the forbidden sort of zone. Because what his dad's been doing, he's been going back to the area where all this nuclear stuff happened, because the whole nuclear plant collapsed in, and so the whole city was closed down. But because of the radiation, sort of like Chernobyl, so the whole part of that city was closed down. And so he's been arrested because he's been entering there again, because he believes that there's these tremors are starting again 15 years later, the same sort of thing that's happening again. And he wants to go there and get the data from his previous time, which is kept in his house, to be able to prove that it's happening again. But he got arrested. So anyway, his son flies back out to Japan to sort of bail him out. And he talks to his son about it. Says, no, this is not earthquakes, this is not tremor, this is something that's permanently going on down below the ground. And he wants to prove this by getting the sort of stuff from the forbidden part of the city. And his son keeps trying to talk to him around, saying, don't do it, come out to San Francisco, we've got a grandson who's dying to see you and stuff like this. But he's got this will to stay there because his wife is there, and I think he's got that sense of guilt because he sent her into that part of the nuclear plant, and so he's got that guilt with him. Anyway, he sort of persuades his son to go with him, and they go to the forbidden area, and we sort of see them arriving on boat, and they're sort of like the whole sort of city's like run down, like it's like in that film I Am Legend. It's like all overgrown and stuff like that with weeds, and there's wild dogs sort of running about. So they go to this part of the city, a bit like The Last of Us, really, where the city's all been sort of run down and stuff like that. And they go there, and the father takes his mask off because they're all wearing his gas mask in it, and he breathes in the air and said, the air's fine. There is no nuclear radiation here. So they've been lied to. The radiation didn't leak from the nuclear plant because they're keeping something secret underneath. And what are they keeping secret underneath? Because that's all I'm going to sort of really tell you about the synopsis. Obviously, there's a creature under there that's going to come out and start attacking the world and the planet, and it's going to be to a state where the whole world is in danger of, you know, being destroyed, unless somebody can come along and save the day. And who is that? You need to watch it and find out. So what do I think of this version of Godzilla? I think it's fantastic. I think it's an absolutely blast of a movie. It's great fun, popcorn, disaster, monster movie. Absolutely brilliant effects for CGI. I'm not a big CGI fan, but when it comes to movies like this, that's when it should be used. You know, things like this and the Jurassic Park sort of films. That's when it's great. In a horror film, no, I don't think there should be. I think it should be back to your practical effects, because I think that works better. This is a kind of horror film. I do class the Godzilla and the sort of Kong movies and all that as horror films, because these are horror stories. Imagining this happen. It sounds like it's happening right now out there. We've got a massive storm outside today with really high winds and rain, so maybe who knows. But yeah, it's an amazing film. The pluses of this edition, the 4K, oh, it's absolutely pristine, stunning. It looks absolutely incredible. There's not one frame drop. The picture clarity is absolutely fantastic, and the sound is amazing. I'm watching it I watched it with my headphones on, and it sounds incredible. Absolutely amazing. The cast is quite good. You know, they act really, really well. The creature effects are amazing. Really cool. It's a good story. Negatives about the film, it is a really sort of slow build up. Like you get into about almost nearly 45 minutes to an hour before you start to see the creatures sort of thing, and the film's only an hour and a half, so it's quite a slow build up. But do you know what, it kind of works though. A lot of times I get disappointed with that when things like that happen, when you get films where the actual main thing is screen time is quite small, but it works so well with this. And I think the build-up is essential, I think, because the characters on this are quite cool, and it's quite a cool storyline, and I love the storyline on this version of the film. So I'm going to score this film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love Godzilla films. I really do. From the early cheesy ones right up to the sort of modern day ones. And there's even a new one, I believe, coming to the movies later December or even to the beginning of next year. So there's even another new Godzilla coming out. We've already had Shin Godzilla this year, the Japanese sort of modern take on it, which is another great thing, which I'm going to be looking at on my channel. Amazing film, absolutely amazing. 2014 Godzilla, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you thought of it. I mean, I went to see this in the cinema, I think, with the lad way back, and absolutely enjoyed the film. I've got an idea. We might have seen it in 3D, because I think it came out in 3D in the cinema. I'm sure it did. But absolutely fantastic film, and it's just real enjoyable from start to finish. And when the picture is so pristine, it's a delight to watch, and you just want to watch it and watch it and watch it. And the only thing that was a real shame about it was it ended. You know, I just wanted it to go on a bit longer. I think it could have gone on for another 15-20 minutes. I think this film should have been about 1 hour and 50 instead of like an hour and a half. But there we go. Absolutely brilliant. Guys, till my next video, please check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzawell, I'm the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, and a massive shout out to my Godzilla loving lad, Lemon Lord. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.